How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market had a red day today. S&P 500 down $21, down about 0.6%. The Dow Jones down $205, down about 0.8%. And the NASDAQ ended up getting hit the worst, down $140, 1.3% in the hole, as big tech across the board, Netflix, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, were all red. And in this video, we're going to be talking more about the stock market, breaking down some technicals, going over where we could be headed here in the short term, and I also want to break down the main stocks that I'm looking to buy here in earnings season. A bunch of these stocks actually reported earnings today, so we have to break down some numbers, and in general, I want to go over where my head is at and kind of what I've been doing here in the markets as of late. So a lot to go over in this video. If you guys find value in it, I'm sure you will. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing, and check out all the free links down below in the description box if you want to join our Discord chat, Facebook group, and if you want 2 free stocks from Webull valued up to $1,400. All you have to do is deposit $100 into the account, and that is when you get your 2 free stocks. So let's get into it, guys, starting off here with the S&P 500, and again, it went down about $21, and we're at a point where the Bears had a victory today. I mean, the Bears ended up getting us rejected at the S&P 500, getting rejected right around the 50 SMA. So the Bears won at that point on this hourly chart. The Bulls did not get us out of there. And that actually happened later on in the day. If you guys take a look here on this 5-day, 5-minute chart, I mean, the markets actually looked pretty healthy today. I mean, we took a pretty big dump off this morning on the S&P, but other than that, it seemed like the S&P was recovering. I mean, we pulled down, we held 32.20 this morning, that is. We rallied out of there, we took out 32.30, which I've been talking about on this channel a lot, big resistance, and we ended up rallying from there pretty much up until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then boom, S&P 500 dumped from 32.40. We actually hit a higher high at that point, which is, again, why I'm saying the markets looked pretty healthy earlier. And from that higher high that we did hit in these past 3 days of trading in terms of that little uptrend we were on, we ended up dumping. We took out 32.30, and it seems like we're slowly taking out 32.20 here. So is the stock market going lower at this point? I mean, it does look like it's tuning up for that. And we all know it's big earnings this week. We have seen a bunch of companies. Let me pull up this Earnings Whisper screenshot here. I show this pretty much every day during earnings season. Today we had Pfizer, McDonald's, 3M. We'll go over some of these. eBay, Visa, AMD, Starbucks. Tomorrow we have Shopify, Facebook, Boeing, General Electric, which at this point, that company is like a zombie company. Spotify. Did I say PayPal? I'll say it again. PayPal, Lam Research. On Thursdays when the big boys are coming in, Apple, Amazon, MasterCard, UPS, Alphabet, right? Procter & Gamble. And then Friday, we have some energy plays, some industrials. We have some healthcare as well. AbbVie, Exxon, Caterpillar, Merck, Chevron, Dominion Energy, and a bunch more. So that's kind of what we're expecting here on the earnings calendar for this week and for the remainder of this week. And what I'm trying to say is that the market's heavily dependent on especially these numbers that are coming out on Thursday, guys. Forget tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's a big day too. We have Boeing, Facebook, PayPal. Those are big companies. But Thursday, we have the bulk of the stock market. I mean, out of one earnings day, this day is the most important because we have Amazon, Alphabet, and Apple, 3 of the biggest companies in the world. They have a lot of weight when it comes to the overall stock market. So if their stocks shoot up, you better believe the market's going and following that and going to go up with it because of that weighting and because they'll influence other smaller stocks to go up in the S&P 500. That is, if Amazon, Apple, and Alphabet all do well. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for at this point. The markets, yeah, they could go lower. Today, it's not looking too good for the Bulls, but it's not a grand slam for the Bears either because 32.20 is still roughly where we're at. And quite honestly, until that breaks, I think we're still an even playing field. And if that breaks 32.20, that is where bears might start to get the edge. And if we get below 3,200, especially if we zoom out a bit here, you'll see it on the 20-day chart on the S&P. I mean, 3,200 is big, stemming back from the 24th of July, back on the 16th of July. I mean, if we take that level out, and especially this 180 SMA on the hourly chart, and start to get down 31.80, 31.50, that is where we might start to get even more selling. But I think the bulls will take over, generally speaking, here if tomorrow we hold 32.20 on the S&P and we somehow get out of that 50 SMA resistance. I mean, if we ultimately get out of 32.50, and then we get good earnings from those big three companies that we just talked about, I think S&P could even go to all-time highs. As crazy as that sounds, I mean, over time, over a month or two, and especially if we get good guidance from these companies, I think S&P can go to all-time high, and especially with the stimulus money printing that is likely to come. And, that could be another reason why the market's selling off. I mean, the market's a bit uncertain right now about what's next with the economy, what's next when it comes to stimulus. I mean, we're still hearing back and forth. I'm hearing, I think, $1 trillion from the Republicans or something like that, which could be what ends up happening. We might get a bit more, might get a bit less, but that is causing a bit of uncertainty right now because the payment's running out. I mean, on this Friday, end of July, the unemployment payment's running out, and then a lot of people out there, they're not going to be getting that $600 a week, whatever benefits they were getting. So that's going to be pretty tough at this point. And maybe, again, why the market's falling. It could be attributing a bit to why the market's falling today, seeing a bit of a cool-off session, right? And when it comes down to the Dow Jones, I mean, we held 26,380 today. That's right around that 26,400 level that I've been watching. You guys can see right around that 180 SMA on the hourly chart. That is where we are right now on the Dow Jones. Pulling back to, let's say, this 90-day chart, you'll be able to see it a bit better. Generally speaking here, we are holding 26,350 to 400. That is where we struggled back in the middle of June up until the middle of July. So that is a thumbs up for the bulls here. And I think, and you guys can agree to this, I mean, if this level breaks, I mean, if we gap down 100, 200 points on the Dow, that's not going to be good. I'm thinking from there we might be going down to the high 25,000s, and we might be testing that 180 SMA on this 4-hour chart. I mean, that is where we've pulled down in the past, over the past couple of pull downs right around that area. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen again. And that's kind of some thoughts there on the Dow. And of course, upside target, we've been talking about this, is 27,000, and above that, roughly 27,500. And taking a look here at the NASDAQ, one of the most volatile indexes recently in the past week out of the 3-4, this is probably the most volatile one, and you can see why. I mean, we shot up to 11K, back down to 10.4, back up to almost all-time highs again at 11K, back down to 10,400, and now we're hovering right in the middle of 10,400 and around 10,700, right in the middle of that range. And ultimately, guys, I mean, the bears are in charge right now. On this hourly chart, you can see we got rejected by that 50 SMA. We failed to break out of 10,700. We are selling off down to 10,400 now. And on the 5-day, 5-minute, we can see we clearly got rejected by this downtrend line that I literally drew in one of the previous videos. You can see it here. If I extend this a little bit to the right, I mean, look, it got rejected perfectly there. So watch for 10,400 tomorrow if we do sell off further. And if that breaks on the downside, that is where we could be headed lower when it comes down to the NASDAQ, maybe down to about 10,100, maybe down to about 9,900, 10,000 flat. That seems like it could be a healthy spot here for the NASDAQ. And just like the S&P, I mean, this heavily depends on Amazon, Apple, Google. What do they report when it comes to earnings? It's going to influence where this thing goes. So let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts when it comes down to the markets? We got the FOMC meeting that started today. That ended up starting today. And tomorrow is when Jerome Powell is going to be speaking. I think it's at 12, or is it at 2? It's either at 12 or 2. It's typically 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when he does end up speaking, so watch out for that. And of course, on Thursday, we get the GDP number for Q2, which is projected at this point to be around 35% of a drop, which is unbelievable. So watch out for that. The market, is it pricing that in at this point? Potentially. It really could be. We'll find out. Probably Thursday, Friday, but most likely by next week. We'll find out and see where the market's headed, especially after all of these earnings reports. And when it comes down to my trading today, I didn't do anything new today, guys. Honestly, I'm just holding on to my positions at this point. I'm in Netflix. I got in at 490, bought a little bit more yesterday around 487. So I'm holding Netflix. I believe that they will be above $500 over the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I would not be holding them. And ultimately, I'm looking to sell out of Netflix, maybe 530 to about 550. That is where I'd like to start scaling out of it. And I'm also in Microsoft, MSFT. I bought this one, I believe, on Friday at $200.50, and Microsoft was down today, down about 1%, almost $2 in the hole, but I'm still up overall on my position, which is why I feel comfortable holding this heading into tomorrow and through the other big tech earnings that are reporting this week. So those are my two main swings at this point, Microsoft and Netflix. And like I've been saying, guys, I have a lot of cash on the sidelines because I'm waiting to see what a lot of these companies report. A, because we're in earnings season, and B, what their guidance is, what they report when it comes to guidance, full year 2020 guidance, the next quarter guidance, because I've been looking through some of these earnings prior to me filming this video. A lot of them, and we'll go over this, a lot of them are actually giving us guidance for the full year and for the next quarter, which is great. So let's go over some of these and let me know down below what you guys did in terms of trading. Let's talk about some of these earnings now, starting off with Starbucks, SBUX. Last time I checked, let's go, guys. Live reaction. I was about to say, last time I checked, it was at $76. Now it's at $79, guys. Let's get it. And who was buying, not trying to toot my own horn here, guys, but I was buying Starbucks this past week. So good for me. Let me pat my own back on that one. Whoop. Let me pat my own back. If you're buying Starbucks, pat your own back here because it went up to $80 after market hours here. And that is what? What is that? That's got to be a move of about 6% after hours. That is pretty big for Starbucks. I mean, it's not some crazy high-flying tech stock. So a 6% move for Starbucks, that is pretty impressive. So what did they do? They reported negative 46 cents. So they lost 46 cents versus 59 cents. So they beat there on EPS. And revenue came in at $4.22 billion versus $4.06 billion, and that was a beat as well. And by the way, when I meant I was buying Starbucks last week, I meant in my long-term account, not my swing account, my long-term account. I was buying, and you guys can see that on M1 Finance if you follow me there. That is where I'm building a portfolio from scratch. I'll link that playlist down below, and I've built it from zero all the way up to where it is now, starting back over a year ago. So go check that out if you guys have not watched it, and I've been adding it, Starbucks, into that portfolio. So they crushed EPS, they crushed revenue, and get this, guys, like I said, guidance is being raised, I don't even know how to properly say that, but you guys know what I mean. For a lot of these companies, Q4 EPS guidance went from 15 cents, between 15 cents to 40 cents, to 18 cents to 33 cents. So the low end of EPS for the next quarter was 15 cents. but the high end was 40 cents, right? And they adjusted it to 18 cents. So that is looked at as good, at this point, right? Because they're raising the low end of it. And that's actually versus the 27-cent estimate. So that's looking good for quarter four. And, for the full year 2020, EPS guidance was raised from 55 cents, between 55 to 95 cents, to 83 to 98 cents. So they're raising the EPS, and that was versus the 88 cents estimated. So that is pretty good when it comes to Starbucks there, and likely why they're running up to $79. Let's see on the live news tab if anything else comes. But yeah, it's really from the guidance being raised, guys. I'm telling you, when it comes down to investing, there's a lot of emotion involved, of course, and the goal is not to trade and invest with emotion, but you have to realize the average person does this. And when there's, coverage on a stock that's negative, the stock could go down due to this. If it's positive, the stock can go up. And a lot of people look at guidance, and if the management team raises that guidance, that's a buying signal, and they buy it. It's very simple. It's literally that simple. And it doesn't work all the time. You see sometimes guidance goes up, the stock tanks. But at this point, it's doing it. I mean, the guidance is up, the stock's going up. Starbucks is about to break $80. So at this point, I am looking, again, I have it in my long-term account, but I'm looking to maybe take a swing position here. If it takes out 80, I think this could be a runner from $80. That's a big resistance stemming back from literally months ago, back in April. So if it takes that out, watch for a run to $83, maybe up to 85. That could be an upwards target. I'm not sure if we'll get there tomorrow, the next day, whatever. Excuse me, guys. But I wouldn't be surprised in a month from now if Starbucks was trading in the mid-80s due to it being just a sideways stock ever since April, right? It's bound now to pop out. And as the economy starts to recover, as CV slowly goes away, we get a vaccine a couple months down the road, whatever ends up happening, I think this stock's going much higher. Visa, ticker symbol V, they just reported earnings. EPS came in at $1.06 versus $1.03. Revenue came in at $4.8 billion versus 4.82. So they missed on revenue, but they beat on EPS by a slight margin. Stock is down about $4.23, actually exactly $4.23 here after market hours. And that is a drop of about, let's take a look here, about 3%. So this could open up a window of opportunity. I mean, Visa, great company out there, strong company, and this could be a pull down. I mean, this could end up serving as a pull down. Each of these last times we've pulled down, you guys can see the general range here on Visa. Big support around 190, 192. Resistance around $200. So maybe watch if it holds 190, guys, 192. Maybe we slowly make our way back up to $200. That's kind of what I'm watching here when it comes down to Visa. McDonald's also reported today, ticker symbol MCD, revenue of $3.76 billion versus $3.68 billion. So they beat there on revenue, but EPS came short. 66 cents of EPS versus 74 cents estimated. And get this, guys, quarter two global same-store sales fell 23.9%. And when you're looking at restaurant stocks, I mean, one of the most important metrics is same-store sales. So that fell about 25%, guys. That goes to show the damage in the economy here. And quite honestly, that is not that bad of a number considering some of these other companies out there, not even restaurant stocks, but other companies like cruise lines, airlines, hotels, they've lost so much money, 80-90% of their revenue year over year. So, 25% for McDonald's, that is actually fantastic compared to many other companies, which is interesting. And at this point, guys, pull down, we've pulled down from 202, 196. That is roughly a 3.5% opportunity right there. We're holding the uptrend on the hourly chart. We're trading above the 180 SMA. Am I jumping the gun quite yet? No, but if we start to settle down at 193 to 195, I might pull the trigger on a swing trade here on McDonald's, ticker symbol MCD. And AMD also reported, and just when you thought the stock was overheated, it ended up going up after hours here to $75. It just closed at $67, so that's another $7 to $8 pop in AMD. EPS came in at 18 cents versus the 16 cents estimated. Revenue came in at $1.93 billion versus $1.86 billion estimated. And you guys know, I mean, we got news that Intel is delaying some of their chips back to 2022. That day, Intel stock dropped 16%. AMD went up 16% the same day. And let's take a look and see kind of what's going on here. But ultimately, in the live news tab, that is. But ultimately, that news from Intel was phenomenal news for AMD. And now on top of that news, we got a beat on AMD in earnings. I'm looking to see if they raised guidance or anything. I'm not really seeing that right now. But either way, this is very solid news for AMD. Am I looking to buy it here at 75, 74? No. But if this is able to pull down at all, this could be an interesting opportunity. And I just thought in my head, isn't it crazy? AMD was a couple dollar stock a few years ago. That's I was looking at AMD at around like $5, $10. Now it's at $75. I mean, this is just unbelievable. The way time can affect the stock market, right? A lot of stocks, if the business executes, I mean, you see over time how fantastic it is to see a stock go from $8 to $70 and how much money has been generated, wealth has been generated over that time period, which is why I love, investing in the stock market, especially picking individual stocks. And I haven't invested in AMD. I didn't get in at $8. That would have been fantastic. But I have had my fair share of pretty solid gains in the stock market, and it really is a good feeling when you do your own research, your own due diligence, you pick a company and you watch it grow over time, and you make money, of course. That is a fantastic feeling. And eBay, EBAY, also just reported earnings here, and my computer's a little bit slow. It's getting overheated, so bear with me, guys. eBay down 1.5% after hours, down about, actually today, down 88 cents. After hours, it's down even worse, down to about $54, and they ended up reporting EPS of $1.08 versus $1.06. Revenue came in at $2.87 billion versus $2.8 billion, so they ended up beating on EPS and revenue, and the stock is down after hours. And you can see, again, like I said, you see stocks a lot of the time, they beat earnings and then they go down. But you see stocks that miss on earnings and they go up. It's crazy the way the market works. It's not going to turn out the way you think it is all the time. If it was, everybody out there would be walking with a money printer in their pocket like the Federal Reserve. Actually, no, they'd just be walking around with so much money that they wouldn't know what to do with it, because they'd be right all the time if they just knew what was going to happen, right? So MMM3M is another stock that is moving here today. They reported earnings 1.78 in terms of EPS versus 1.8, so they missed on EPS. Revenue came in at $7.2 billion versus $7.32 billion, and the stock's down from 163 down to where it is right now. They reported pre-market, so they got crushed all today, down about 5%. And could this be a dip buy in 3M? I'm not sure. We'll see. I much rather look at some other stocks here, like the ones we talked about earlier. I'm really interested in Starbucks at this point, and I've said in recent videos that I think Starbucks, when we're talking about a recovery play out there, I know the stock's been trading sideways, but when we're talking about the economy reopening, things getting back to normal, what's going to bounce back aggressively, I think restaurant stocks, especially Starbucks, they're going to go crazy. Like I said in those videos, I wouldn't be surprised if Starbucks was trading over $90 to $100 per share in 2 years from now. I mean, that's easy money in my opinion. And as always, do your own due diligence, do your own research. But I'm just thinking, with the way the business is and how much I understand Starbucks and the customer and how people are crazy for Starbucks, I just can't see it not going over $100. So when it comes down to earnings, guys, that is pretty much it. There's a bunch of other ones that we could talk about, but this video would be way too long. And for some other stocks here that I'm looking to trade, Target, TGT, Target ended up going up today 60 cents, up about. Let me show you the overall 4-hour chart on Target. You'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about here. This thing has been consolidating in this range between 118 and 120. Now it's finally breaking out, but it's been in this range for weeks. I mean, weeks. Ever since, let's see, I think April, right? Yeah, actually, no, middle of May. But either way, I mean, last time it took out 122, 123, which was in the middle of May, it rallied up to 130. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now when it comes to Target. They're reporting earnings. Actually, no, they already did back in the middle of May. So this one is, wait a second, no. Yeah. They're reporting, actually, no, they're going to be reporting, they did in the middle of May, but they're going to be reporting in the middle of August here. So in a couple of weeks, Target is going to be reporting, and 130 is the target, which, no, there's no pun intended there, that I have here for TGT. And another one is going to be Shopify. Shopify, I believe we talked about this one. They're reporting earnings tomorrow. I mean, they're still down about $100 off of those all-time highs, around $1,000, $1,074. So watch Shopify heading into the earnings. I'm liking how it's holding the uptrend overall here on the 4-hour chart. Boeing, BA, that's another one I'm watching. Let me show you guys what Boeing's up to today. Again, my computer's kind of slow right now. I'm not sure why it's doing this. It hasn't done this before. But yeah, Boeing's holding $170 here, which we talked about. That's a big support stemming back from a couple weeks ago. I think if that takes down, if we take that out on the bottom side, the floor could fall out for Boeing, especially if they disappoint when it comes to earnings tomorrow. But we talked about how if 170 holds, they have a good earnings report. EMAs break, moving averages break on the 4-hour. I mean, that's been the range that it's in, from 170 to 190. So watch that move there on Boeing. Facebook, they're also reporting earnings this week, I believe. Let me double check that. Let's take a look at this calendar here. Facebook, yep, they're reporting earnings tomorrow, so keep an eye on them. They're trading about $20 off of their all-time highs. NEO here was up about 5% today, showing some upside push, but don't get too excited quite yet. Well, you can start getting excited, I think. It seems like it is showing some signs of a reversal, but ultimately we're still trending under big resistances. The 180 SMA on the hourly chart, this gold line, we failed breaking out of that today. We're still trending under 1330. That's where we got rejected multiple times over the past couple of weeks. So don't get too excited quite yet. And the last one here is Virgin Galactic, SPCE. And by the way, if you guys didn't see it already, I uploaded a video earlier today going over what I believe for the stock long term, how much money they could potentially make over the next couple of years, and most importantly, I go over and react to their cabin reveal, which goes inside of their spaceship to show what it's looking like. So I'll link that down below. Go check that out after this video. I'm sure you'll find some value in that for, the Virgin Galactic people out there. And the stock went down 4.5% today almost. It seems like people weren't too impressed. Again, you can see what I think down below, but ultimately the stock seems like it's going down to about $23 right now. $23 looks like the target, right around that 180 SMA here on the hourly chart. And you guys have to understand, Virgin Galactic is still up immensely over the past couple of weeks. It was $14. It shot up to 27. That's 100%. Now it's pulling down to 24. If you guys are freaking out, relax. This is simply a pull down. Yes, it could be a head and shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, but it's not fully a head and shoulder quite yet. until 23 takes out on the bottom side. If 23 breaks on the bottom, that is where we could be forming fully that right shoulder to the point where we might be going back down to the low 20s. But either way, I'm looking to pick up some shares, whether it's low 20s, $23, 22. I'm just being patient with it, and I'm still bullish. I'm still long Virgin Galactic, and I think they're going to be a good company. So that is SPCE, and that is pretty much the entire video. Oh, and gold, guys, gold. Oh, my goodness. Up $16 today. Almost at $2,000 an ounce. It's at $19.70 an ounce. Is this real life? I mean, gold was just at $17.60. Is gold a tech stock now? I mean, this thing was at $17.60 3 weeks ago. Now it's almost at $2,000. So watch for gold to take out $2,000. Watch Bitcoin too. I mean, Bitcoin, we don't talk about crypto. Bitcoin took out $10,000 resistance. That's a big spot stemming back from the past couple of years. And I believe it's trading at around $11,000 right now. Excuse me, if we get to 12, 13, that could be where Bitcoin starts to break out, maybe back to 20K. Who knows? Anything could happen here, especially if people start flooding out of the dollar into silver, gold, things like Bitcoin, right? So this is very, very important, and we'll leave it at that. If you guys found value in the video, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing. Get your 2 free stocks down below in the description box for $1,400. All you have to do is deposit $100 into the account and you get your free money. And check out that Virgin Galactic video. I'm sure you guys will find value in it. Again, all of those are linked down below. I'll catch you all in the next video, which will be that Virgin Galactic video. So see you there. Stay safe as always. Peace out. How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market had a red day today. S&P 500 down $21, down about 0.6%. The Dow